Section 27. TAZRIA. 12. And the Lord spake with Moshe, saying, Speak with the sons of Israel, saying, When a woman hath conceived and born a male child, she shall be unclean 7 days, as the days of the removal of her uncleanness shall she be unclean. But on the 8th day she shall be loosed, and her child shall be circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And 33 continuous days she shall have for the purification of the whole blood, but she must not touch things sacred, nor come into the sanctuary until the time when the days of her purification be completed. And if she hath borne a daughter, she shall be unclean 14 continuous days according to the law of her separation, and on the 15th she shall be released, but 66 continuous days shall she have for the full purification of the blood. And when the days of her purification are completed for the son of the daughter, she shall bring a lamb of its year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering, unto the priest at the door of the tabernacle of ordinance, and the priest shall offer it before the Lord and make atonement for her. Then shall she be purified from either source of her blood. This is the law of the purification of her who hath borne a son or a daughter. But if she find not her hands sufficient to bring a lamb, let her bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one for the burnt offering, and one for the sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean. 13. And the Lord spake with Moshe, saying, If a man have in the skin of his flesh a rising tumor or a white spot, Jerusalem, a tumor, or sore, or white spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh, as the plague of leprosy, let him be brought into Aaron the priest, or to one of the priests his sons. And the priest shall look at the plague in the skin of the flesh, and if the hair of the stricken place be turned to whiteness, and the appearance of the plague be deeper than the surface, and be whiter than the skin of his flesh, like snow, it is the plague of leprosy, and the priest having inspected him shall make him to be unclean. But if the bright spot be white like chalk in the skin of his flesh, and the appearance of it be not deep, with whiteness like snow rather than skin, the hair, too, not being turned to whiteness like chalk, the priest shall shut up him who was plagued 7 days, and the priest shall inspect him on the 7th day. And, behold, if the plague stand as it was, and have not gone on wider in the skin, the priest shall shut him up a second 7 days. And the priest shall inspect him the second 7th day, and, behold, if the plague hath become darker, and hath not gone wider in the skin, the priest shall make him to be clean. It is an obstinate sore, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the inveterate sore widen in the skin after he had been shown to the priest who had pronounced him clean, let him a second time be seen by the priest. And the priest shall look, and, behold, if the widening of the inveterate sore hath gone on in the skin, the priest shall make him unclean, for it is the leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is upon a man, let him be brought to the priest. And the priest shall observe, and, behold, if there be a white tumor rising on the skin like pure wool, and the hair be turned to whiteness as the white of an egg, and the sign of quick flesh be in the tumor, it is an inveterate leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall adjudge and pronounce him unclean, but not shut him up, for he is known to be unclean. Yet if the leprosy increaseth in the skin, and the leprosy covereth all the skin of his flesh, from his head even to his feet, in whatever part the eyes of the priest may look on, in deliberating between cleanness and uncleanness, the priest shall consider, and, behold, if the leprosy covereth all his flesh, the plagued man shall be pronounced to be clean. All of him is turned to whiteness, he is clean. But in the day that live flesh appeareth in him, he is unclean. And the priest shall observe the live flesh, and make him to be unclean. On account of the live flesh in him he is unclean, it is leprosy. Or if the live flesh be turned and changed into whiteness, he shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall observe, and, behold, the plague is turned white, and the priest shall adjudge the plague to be clean, he is clean. And if a man have in his skin an ulcer, and it hath healed, but in the place of the ulcer there hath come a white rising tumor, or a bright fixed spot in color, white mixed with red, he shall be seen by the priest. And the priest shall look, and, behold, if the appearance of it be deeper than the skin, and it becometh white, and the hair is turned white, the priest shall make him to be unclean, for it is a plague of leprosy which increaseth in the ulcer. And if the priest look, and behold, the hair in it is not whitened, and the whiteness of the spot is not in appearance deeper than the skin, and that it hath become dim, then must the priest shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look on the 7th day, and if it hath gone on whitening in the skin, the priest shall make him to be unclean, for it is the plague of leprosy. But if the spot abideth in its place, and hath not gone on whitening in the skin, but hath become fainter, it is an inflamed blotch, and the priest shall make him to be clean, it is a burning scar. Or if there be in a man's skin a hot burning, and in the burning wound a spot of white mixed with red, or white only, the priest shall look upon it. And, behold, the hair is turned white as chalk, and its appearance is deeper than the skin, becoming white as snow, it is leprosy growing in the burning spot, and the priest shall make him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and, behold, the hair on the burning place be not white, and it be not deep, nor becoming whiter than the skin, though it may be dim, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall see him on the 7th day, and if it hath gone on whitening in the skin, the priest shall make him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and, behold, the hair on the burning place is not white, and it is not deep, nor whiter than the skin, though it may be dim, then the priest must shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall see him on the 7th day, and if it hath gone on whitening in the skin, the priest shall make him unclean, for it is the plague of leprosy. But if the inflamed spot abide in its place, and go not on to whiten in the skin, and it be dim in appearance, it is a burning spot, and the priest shall make him to be clean, for it is a burning wound. And if a male or a woman have a plague upon the head, or in the beard, the priest shall look upon the plague, and, behold, if the appearance is deeper and whiter than the skin, and yellow hair be in it, in sight like a thin thread of gold, the priest shall make him unclean, it is a scurvy, a leprosy in the head of the beard. But if the priest view the scurfed plague, and, behold, if the appearance of it be not deeper nor whiter than the skin, and there be no black hair in it, the priest shall shut up him who hath the scurfed plague 7 days. And the priest on the 7th day shall look upon the plague, and, behold, if the plague hath not gone on in breadth, and no yellow hair like gold be in it, and the appearance of the scurf is not deeper than the skin, he shall cut away the hair which surrounds the scar, but the scurfed part he must not shave, and the priest shall shut him who hath the scurf 7 days. Then shall the priest look upon the scurf on the 7th day, and, behold, if the scar hath not gone on in breadth in the skin, and its appearance is not deeper nor becoming whiter than the skin, the priest shall make him to be clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But should the breadth of the scar go on in the skin after his purification, the priest shall inspect it. And, behold, if the breadth hath increased, the priest need not look narrowly after the yellow hair, for he is unclean. But if the scar abideth without widening, and black hair hath sprung up in it, the scar hath healed, he is clean, and the priest shall make him to be clean. And if a man or a woman have in the skin of the flesh bright white spots, the priest shall look, and, behold, if the spots in the skin of the flesh are a greyish white, it is a bright freckle growing in the skin, he is clean. And if a man's hair fall off from his head, he is bald, but he is clean. And if the hair fall away from the brow of his face, he is partly bald, but he is clean. But if his baldness, a partial baldness, hath in it a white plague mixed with red, it is a leprosy growing in his baldness, a partial baldness. And the priest shall look upon it. And, behold, if the spot of the plague be white mixed with red in his baldness, or partial baldness, like the appearance of leprosy in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man, he is unclean, and the priest shall verily make him to be unclean, for the plague is on his head. And the leper in whom is the plague shall have his clothes rent, and his hair shall be taken off. going to the shearers, and his lips shall be covered, and he shall be clothed like a mourner, and crying as a herald, he shall say, keep off from the unclean. All the days that the plague is in him he shall be unclean. For unclean he is, he shall dwell alone by himself, to the side of his wife he must not come nigh, and his habitation shall be without the camp. And a garment in which is the plague of leprosy, whether a garment of wool or a garment of linen, whether in the warp or in the woof, in linen or in woolen, or in a skin, or in anything made of skin. If the plague be green or red in the garment, or in the skin, whether in the warp or in the woof, or in anything of leather, it is the plague of leprosy, and must be shown to the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shall shut it up 7 days. And he shall look upon the plague on the 7th day. And if the plague hath become white in the garment, whether in the warp or woof, or in the skin, or anything made of skin, it is a manifest plague of leprosy, it is unclean. 1. But if the priest look, and, behold, the width of the plague hath not advanced in the garment, in warp or woof, or anything of skin, let the priest direct that they wash the material which hath the plague in it, and shut it up a second 7 days. And the priest shall look after they have washed the plague, and, behold, the condition of the plague hath not altered from what it was, and the plague hath not advanced in its size, it is unclean, thou shalt burn it in the fire, for the leprosy is deep in its bareness, or in its outward side. And if the priest observe, and, behold, the plague hath become dim, then shall he tear it out of the garment, or from the leather, or out of the warp or the woof. But if it reappear in the garment, or in the warp or woof, or in anything of skin, and maketh increase, thou shalt burn such material which hath the plague in it. And the garment, or the warp or woof, or anything of skin, which thou shalt wash, and the plague depart from it, shall be washed a second time, and it shall be clean. This is the law for the plague of leprosy in a garment of woolen or of linen, or the warp or the woof, or anything of skin, to make it to be clean or to be unclean.